A very warm welcome to my private equity course. Now, if you're a newly enrolled student, I am wishing you a very warm welcome to the course. However, you might not yet have enrolled in the course, and you might well be watching this video on free preview or indeed on another platform altogether. And let me just say that I'm again welcoming you too, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you what is in this course, because I'm very proud of what I put together, and I think you're going to find it particularly helpful when you decide to enroll in the course. So firstly, I want to ask you a question, which is, what does private equity mean to you? And it's an important question to ask, because I actually would argue that it can have one of four helpful meanings, all of which are going to help you as you go through this course. So let's explore them a little bit. The first explanation of the word or the phrase private equity is an asset class. Private equity represents an asset class just like publicly traded shares or fixed income bonds or real estate. And within that asset class of private equity, you can argue that you can find venture capital, growth equity, buyouts, distressed debt. And as you will discover in this course, there are lots of specialist investment strategies adopted by private equity firms that even further fragment the asset class of private equity. Of course, private equity can also be a transaction, typically a buyout or a leveraged buyout. You talk about a private equity transaction, that's what you're talking about. Now, just to be clear here, a venture capital investment, although arguably a subsidiary of the asset class, is actually not a private equity investment. They're structured very differently, and they're a unique investment type in their own right. You could also refer to a private equity firm when we talk about private equity. These are the companies that organize and invest in buyout transactions. And finally, of course, private equity can reference the entire industry of buyout firms. So this encompasses all the investment strategies and the different types of investors who invest in this asset class. So as you can see already, private equity has a great deal of complexity to it. But it's a fascinating ecosystem, and it's one which I'm really excited about, and I'm really excited and thoroughly enjoyed putting together for you in this course. Now, I can't teach you everything I know about private equity in this course. I have attempted, however, to give you a detailed and structured explanation of private equity finance in its broadest sense, and this course is just about to tip into 9 hours, so I have given it a pretty good go, and you'll come away from this course with a vast amount of detailed knowledge which you simply won't have had before. Now, I have focused on structure because I'm a very structured person the way I think, but also simplicity without hiding the detail. This course has a logical flow to it, and I hope you'll find it easy to follow. Wherever possible, and that means in nearly every lecture, I have shared the slide decks like this with you so that you can download them and use them for reference. If you're a finance professional, if you want to work in private equity, or you're an entrepreneur who wants to know more about this asset class to fund your business in future, this course is definitely for you. So what are we going to cover? Let me summarize the main sections of this course, which I might add has been greatly expanded and updated since I first launched it. In fact, as I'm recording this, I've just spent the last 4 weeks recording about 70 different lectures. I've added 7 hours plus to the course to really make it detailed, comprehensive and up to date for you. Now, after this lecture, I'm going to take you through an overview of the course and a comparison and the advantages and disadvantages of private equity and venture capital. So we're going to start in this first section with an overview of what we're talking about. But you'll also see these screenshots of the sections of the course, so you can see lecture by lecture really what you're getting in. But let me also add that I may not update this introduction that often, and so there may well be further updates and more content than even is reflected in the slides you're about to see. So that's section 1. In section 2, I'm going to take you through how private equity funds work and how they're structured. So we're going to look at roles within the firm, limited partnerships, all that sort of thing. The terminology in private equity can be quite confusing, so I want you to get to grips with this early on. So the section 3 is all about a glossary of terms and definitions. In the next section, I'm going to discuss the key characteristics of private equity firms, the life cycle, deals, stages, characterizations. So there's lots of detail understanding what private equity firms really comprise of. We're then going to look at how you as an entrepreneur can find the right private equity firm for your business. So that's really looking at it from the entrepreneur's perspective. And then in the next section, I turn the camera lens around and discuss how private equity firms find their deals. So you can see the logic of that connection. Then we're going to look at how private equity deals are structured. So structuring terms, what is equity, what is common stock, all the different elements to a private equity structure. Then we move on to an examination of deal value creation and metrics, as you can see on the screen. In the section after this, I'm going to walk you through a private equity deal step by step, so you see the entire deal process as it's mapped out. Now, due diligence is a very important part of the deal process, which is why I devote a whole section explaining it almost line by line in detail, and you can see all the topics on the screen. I want to discuss with you how valuation and pricing are addressed in deals, and critically the importance of the EBITDA metric, and that's in the next section. Now you'll love this one. LBO modeling was undoubtedly the most difficult section to create for you. As you can see, it's the longest in the course, but this is critically not teaching you how to write formulas in Excel. Much more importantly, it's teaching you the underlying framework and structure of an LBO model in all its intricacies, how everything connects together. This is much more difficult for me to present to you than just showing you how to model something. But once you understand this, and it's not as daunting as it looks on the screen, it's going to be much more valuable to you. The next section, we're looking at the risks and returns in private equity, which is obviously very important. Then we move on to exit options in private equity transactions, and we're also taking a look at recapitalizations. As part of our discussion of exits, we look at trade sales through an M&A transaction, and there's some discussion of it here, followed by initial public offerings, which are a common exit mechanism for PE companies, and we discuss both what they mean for investors and for the companies themselves. Before concluding the course, I wanted to discuss with you the reasons that startups fail. And the reason that this is in here is because it can be applied to any of these private companies. And it's a helpful discussion, I believe, for company founders and CEOs in the context of growing and funding their businesses. Your businesses. In the final section of the course, we take a look at how you measure returns to private equity investors, the general partner and the limited partners. And this is quite a specialist, not very difficult, but a specialist topic. So it's worth its own section on its own. So as you can see, this is now a very comprehensive, yet I believe logically structured course where I'm sharing with you over 30 years of my investment banking experience. But it's my pleasure. I actually love this subject, love doing this stuff, and I really hope you get a lot out of it. So dive right in, and I really hope you enjoy the course. And if you have any questions, of course, don't hesitate to give me a shout. I'm always here to help. So that's my introduction and welcome to my private equity course. I hope you have a lot of fun with it. I've certainly had a lot of fun making it.